people think that the banks are robbing them actually because their value of the currency is going down.
Which is not false,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I know you have a 5-year strategy in place.
You can measure all the produced gold in the world since the early civilization in Olympic swimming pools.
Why won't he exit Aura Minerals in few years?
I cannot speak
Yes.
for him.
Hello, Rodrigo. Welcome to my podcast, Perfect Recipe for Retiring Rich series. In this podcast, I look for great souls who have, through their achievement, have left an impact on people's mind and something which we would like to learn from. You are today one of the most sought after person for our investors and shareholders because Aura Minerals is one of the biggest position in our portfolio and it has made a lot of money for our investors. Thank you for doing so and thank you for taking out time for this podcast. Today in this interview, I am gonna have three parts: the personal, professional, and the industry specific. I would like to start with your personal journey, and my question is specifically to what shaped your outlook in life? A mentor, a childhood experience, or a past turnaround? Would like to know about that.
Thank you, Bhuvan, and thank you all for being watching us, and thank you for all the compliments. It has been quite a journey, but in the last 4 or 5 years, with a very extraordinary team that we built, we've been achieving extraordinary results, as you mentioned. But life was not as easy all the time, right? You always have to dive through major situations in order to be in the positions where we are today, right? So you mentioned about some experience that shaped me. I think maybe what I would share is not a specific situation, but I think what has given me a lot of learnings to apply to Aura and to make Aura what it is today is that since I finished my MBA, I came back to Brazil and I worked for a major Brazilian conglomerate that had business in road concessions, electricity power plants, electricity grids, cement, shipyard, real estate, textile. I'm not sure if you heard about Havaianas, flip-flops. So we also had that sports apparel with the flip-flops, Havaiana, which is well-known brand in Europe and also in the US.
Okay.
So it's a business in very different situations, business that we had 100% of control, business that was listed, business that we had partners, business that we were minority. So I could see many different sectors of the industries in many different areas of the cycle, timing of the cycles.
Yes.
And I was always super curious about the root cause of anything that drives to success or failure, right? And it's not about the strategy by itself, right? It's about who is making those decisions, what kind of environment drives the decisions for a company to succeed or to fail. I like to see even that company it's a paper, right? There's no real company. What you have is a lot of people
Yes.
doing daily tasks and making decisions.
Yes.
And what will drive any company to succeed or not is what kind of daily decisions or daily tasks those people are making in order to succeed or not. So I learned a lot, like you mentioned, about people, but not only about people, governance, how you structure a place to make the most of them, how you give them a lot of opportunities for them to explore the maximum potential and so on. So during that period, I learned that there's no specific sector, no specific strategy that is right. But if you build the right team with the right culture, you will end with a success.
Right, Rodrigo. I have met so many people in my life and they're very short term focused. Where I've came to know that in the first job you have compromised your salary because you wanted to learn and you had a long term focus. And that is why I wanted to know specifically if your forefather or your mentor or any incident in your life who have changed your outlook forever and made you long term focused?
No, I think was the privilege of having two important mentors in my life, right?
Yes.
Number one was my father. He uh, also could drive his career into becoming a CEO of a major
Okay.
company in Brazil. And then his brother also could drive his career in order to become a CEO of a major bank in Brazil.
Excellent.
And they were not sharing a lot with me advice on what should I do with my life, right? But sharing their experience, what
Okay.
make them do the right decisions or the wrong decisions. And I would say most importantly, even is the values, the family values, the ethic values, and how you wanna. It's not about what you wanna conquer, but how, right? And long-term thinking pays off. It hurts sometimes, short-term. You have to
Okay.
be prepared to make a decision that might hurt the short term. But in the end of the day, if your heart is within the long term, things will happen for you to succeed. Of course, there's no secret. You have to study hard. You have to work super hard. But of course, sticking with your ethical values and make sure you don't open the long-term vision. In the short term, you have to navigate.
Thank you, Rodrigo. As a CEO, I would like to know your routine. Rodrigo Barbosa, what does he do when he wake up every morning? What is the first thing in his mind?
Well, first thing in the morning, my mind is to see my daughters and take them to school and have some kind of conversation, play with them. So that's my priority during the mornings. Few other mornings, I also like to go to the gym and do exercise. But in the end of the day, you always start thinking about the business, right? There's no a moment that you turn off and on, right? It's always back and
Yes.
forth. I like, I when I since the morning I try to see my whole day, all the meetings I have, and of course since before the day, but on the mornings, what kind of outcomes do I want from each of the meetings? What kind of message do I want to transmit in each of the meetings? So that process that I always mentalized since my early career, right? Every single interaction, you need to have some objective, right?
Yeah.
And so mentalizing that is part of my daily process. And in the end, it turns out to be working well.
I'm glad that you don't check the gold price first thing in the morning.
Maybe I do.
We all do, that's
But
fine.
that doesn't change a thing. It just it's not information that will drive any decision. It's just like I said, it's information for fun.
Rodrigo, I would like to ask you the specific question. What is keeping you motivated for the next 10 to 15 years? I know you have three daughters. I have two daughters. And I keep telling people that I don't have to make money for my daughters because they're going to get married and they're going to go to their next home. What is the deeper purpose of Rodrigo Barbosa? What is driving him for the long term?
I think all of us, in the end of the day, wants to have some impact, and of course, do a positive impact in whatever we do. Right? I don't come from the mining sectors, but and the mining sector is where I found where I can have a very significant impact, a positive impact in the world. And why? It's a small steps, not. It's just what we're trying to do with order. Because if you think about mining, it's probably the sector that you can have the most positive environmental and social impact. And why do I say so? Because all of the industries, they choose where they want to go. So they are always located in a very nice cities where they can hire good people and there's all full of infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and everything. In the mining industry, you don't choose. You have to go where the resource is. And normally, in the world, those areas are the less assisted by governments, the less infrastructure areas. So if you think about the opportunity you can have, if you do the right thing about raising the human standards, the human development in those areas, it's much more significant than the other industries. Of course, you need to do absolutely the right thing. You need to keep thinking constantly what kind of a positive impact, what are the consequences of the decisions we are making that over the environment and over the communities. So think about the next 10 to 15 years. I see myself continue to work and to spend time in the mining industry, right? I probably won't be CEO of Aura in the next 10 to 15 years. I think things need to move. I'll always be connected as either as a board member or shareholder. But of course, guiding the new team, giving good advices, and how to strengthen even more Aura as a reference in the mining industry. There are many other companies, mining companies, that are doing the same direction. I think the mining sector is going through an inflection point on image to have a very positive impact in the world, and together with the other companies, I feel that we can continue to build those kind of values. Also, right, I won't spend all my time in mining. I like to also give advices to friends, give advices to other executives that's going through challenges. Myself, I specialize somehow in turnarounds, and also invest in sectors that can also have positive impact, not just to make money, but what can I leave? Make money, of course, but what can we leave to the world as a better world? For example, I have a friend that initiated one company that I became shareholder and giving good advice. It's a startup, but very ambitious. Idea is to digitalize Amazon with the real assets, with the land, and tokenize this and sell. And the use of proceeds of this token is to maintain the forest up, get information, what is going on with the biome and so on. So people now can be motivated to preserve Amazon in the financial way, not only having to receive money for free to keep it up.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Since you have touched tokenization and digitalization, I would like to know what's your thought on cryptocurrency?
I wouldn't say that's a cryptocurrency, but it would be a token that can be sold under the SEC rules. Has not been yet sold. Is on the area of a process of a grouping of the assets, but is moving forward now in a very speedy way. And we believe that perhaps next year you can already issue the new tokens, and the revenues of the tokens goes to the owners of the land. Part of goes to the owners of the land. Part is for impact fund that will invest to preserve Amazon in a capitalist way, to also have income from those investments.
Yeah, I got it, Rodrigo. I saw that you believe that AI is going to change the way we work. It was a surprise for me that a mining industry CEO is saying that AI is very useful for the mining industry. And I have a lot of follow-up on the AI. But first, I would like to know that the cryptocurrency, and specifically Bitcoin, do you believe that it's a digital gold? I would like to know your view on that.
No, I think Bitcoin is an interesting case. I like the case of Bitcoin. It has parallels to gold in terms of scarcity limitation. You cannot issue more gold. It's impossible to produce much more that we are producing now. So there are interesting similarities and room for both. Of course, gold is way ahead of a Bitcoin in terms of value. Gold now is $30 trillion. Bitcoin perhaps a little bit over a trillion. And Bitcoin, if you see the correlation about Bitcoin appreciation or depreciation in the last, since it was issued, yet is much more related to the high-tech companies leveraged rather than as a real asset.
Yeah, so
but I believe that down the road, it might become more as a real asset. Take an example of this year, right? Where the world is thinking about the US dollars. Now, will the US be able to pay all the debt or not? What happened with the Russian assets that were frozen? Why China is buying more gold? So gold appreciated much more than Bitcoin as a real asset. It doesn't mean that some down the road Bitcoin will not change its dynamics more into a real asset.
Yes, I saw that. What surprised me is that you have mentioned about Elon Musk and his book Liftoff in one of your interviews. Now, Elon Musk has been a disruptor. In the tech industry, we have seen 100x, 1000x, and 2000x. In the mining industry, do you think 100x can be made? As a mining CEO, you are getting motivated by a disruptor. And why Elon Musk? And what is the correlation between the mining industry and tech industry? That's what I would like to know from you.
Yeah, no, and I think everyone should. Many books about Elon Musk, the biography, you understand his life. But I think Liftoff is the best to understand his mindset, to
Okay.
understand his way of thinking and making decisions. Again, I like to understand what makes all those companies to succeed. It's not that Elon Musk, the person, but how he makes decisions. Maybe I can quote before I jump to Elon Musk is Einstein always said that imagination is way better than knowledge because
Yes.
imagination you don't have a limit
Yes.
and knowledge you are limited to the knowledge. And I think Elon Musk goes in this direction. His imagination is super creative. He think absolutely out of the box, not based on the accumulated knowledge, but based on what can be done in the future in his mind. And that is super interesting. And then it comes a few other aspects of him that I try to learn and to use is questioning dogmas. Okay, it's most of the people think, wow, this happened in the last 10, 20 years. That's why everything succeeded. That's how you build a rocket. That's how it worked. And then you say, no, no, no. Maybe there is a different thing, a much better thing to do. And then let's find it out together. So he pushed everybody not to replicate what was being done in the Israel, but to build a new system, build a new way of building rockets that can be much cheaper or efficient. And then you can apply this to every kind of industries. In mining, yes, it's a very old industry, one of the first industries in the world, right? It's
Yes.
full of dogmas. And now people know me, and Nora knows us. If someone comes to me and says, no, Rodrigo, this is the way everybody's doing, there's exactly argument for me to say, so that's we are not doing. We are doing different. So that be different because it's full of opportunity to think differently, full opportunity of to find new ways and continue to build value to shareholders, to the environment, and for the communities.
Rodrigo, I came to know that you're always in casual, and it's generally I take interviews in the formal. So I also have to dress myself in the smart casual. And this makes you very different from a traditional mining companies. I would love to know that apart from the dress code, what other mindset or the non-traditional mindset makes Aura Mineral different than the traditional mining company, and how is it helping the business?
Um, I think we are super different from the traditionals. Doesn't mean that they're not interesting companies in the same direction, right?
Yes.
We are not unique. There are a few others.
Yes.
I think, and what you mentioned, I think mining industry has accumulated over the decades. It's a highly centralized decision-making process in corporates and the senior managers, and full of hierarchical levels, full of power signs, beautiful offices, nice cars, private jets, all of those things. And then when you centralize, because if you think about the centralization of decision-making process, if you are in an industry that doesn't change rapidly, which used to be mining, that's why probably mining is the last one that's being refreshed, is you make a decision once per year, CEO can make, or let's plan next year with the senior managers, and then everybody execute on this,
Yes.
right? It used to work, the world like this, because there was not many changes happening in the 70s or the 80s. But then came digitalization, technology, internet, and things start to change much fast. And there's no way, given that CEO or senior managers can't make the right decisions to the company all the time. So
Yes.
you need to find a way to delegate those decisions, to build a very strong team on the daily basis at the mine operations, so they can and give them autonomy
Yeah.
to give them decisions. And for you to build all this environment of decision-making process, it takes a lot of time and timing, because you need people to connect more, you need people to talk more to each other, because they are not, the CEO has a view of everything.
Yeah.
Once you delegate more decisions, not the managers or the local managers might not have the view of everything, but
Yeah.
then you need to give them
Yes.
the view. That's what came Aura 360, new KPIs, visibility, transparency. So a lot of things needs to be worked in that direction. So today, I'm super happy when people come to me and say, listen, Rodrigo, we found an opportunity and we invested $2 million in that thing.
Wow.
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 And they don't need to require me to approve. They just say, we invest. Thank you. That's the way we want to manage this company is if you feel that you have an opportunity, just do it. Then let me know later.
Yes.
Of course, it needs to have a transparent track record if they're going to succeed or not and why and so on. But don't wait for the senior manager to give the okay. Just move and then let me know.
Absolutely great. It's a great mindset, Rodrigo. I think you're sitting in Miami, and that is not where the traditional mining industry or mining companies sit at. So, you are changing and disrupting the mining industry. And I think if I'll ask a traditional CEO about what is the asset you have in a mining company, he will talk about mining as an asset. Where if I'll ask you, you will talk about people, people, and people, which is what the Silicon Valley companies like Google and Apple talk about. In fact, for them, the people are everything because people is the only asset they have. Now, this podcast is being heard by a lot of the CEOs, and I would like to know from you that what lessons they should learn from your experience, specifically in a down cycle which you have in 2017. What message a CEO should learn from you and how he should or she should run the company. For example, today, let's say I would have invested $1 million in a mining company which would have become $30 million just because gold prices have gone through roof and some action has been taken at Washington, and because of that gold comes back to $2,000 or $2,500 per ounce. In this case, don't you think that there will be a sell-off, and for that sell-off there should be some risk diversification by keeping some of the shares of that mining company off the table? By selling some shares, some profit booking should have been kept at the investor level. Why not?
Um, Again, I will repeat a little bit what you mentioned,
Yeah.
but and I normally, right, always a different mining company. The, and Many investors in the beginning still yet like to ask, well, Rodrigo, but what is your major asset? What is your best asset,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because normally the companies likes to have this flagship asset, something that really differentiate them from the other ones. And if you look our portfolio, we don't have it.
Yeah.
Most of the assets are very similar. And there's no extraordinary mine
Yeah.
within
In
our
fact, you have nothing
portfolio.
in Canada. You have nothing in Canada,
Yeah,
in fact. Yeah.
essentially in Canada. And I
Yeah.
like to say, well, our best asset is our team. And if you think about it, this is probably what's standing out in terms of returns, Aura, because when you value more the people more than the asset, you will build a very strong team.
Yes.
And we make extra, and with this very strong team, you can make extraordinary results with average assets.
Yes.
And average assets are cheaper to buy compared to extraordinary assets. So if you
Right.
focus on extraordinary assets, and you're going to have average returns with average people because you're going to pay more for those assets, and you will not focus the team will not be able to get the most of them. So if you flip the mindset and say, no, I need to focus on the team, and I like to have average assets because we buy them cheaper. And with extraordinary team, if you look at all-in sustaining cash cost today, it's way below of the average of the sector, way below of a major mines in the world, the major companies. And that's because I think we have this mindset of getting the most of our average assets and not trying to focus only on the asset itself.
Rodrigo, I'm going to ask you a specific question for short term. In the mining sector, if you hear any mining analyst, the buy and hold strategy has not worked. Whether it is GDX or GDXJ, buy and hold doesn't work. If you hear a mining analyst, he will also talk about profit booking, making money in 2 to 3 years. I'm sure you would have seen your personal wealth at least gone up 20x in the last 6 to 7 years because you have created a great value for the management and all the shareholders. Why don't we should book some profit or sell some shares, or even if I am, let's say, long on gold, I should sell some of my gold and do a profit booking. Some profit booking should have happened. Why not?
Well, we have gold and copper, right? You mentioned about the industry cycle. Yes, it's cycle, but on the long term, it has proven to have a better valuation, gold, for example, than most of other investments, right? I was just looking yesterday. If you take gold since 1971, when you have the Bretton Woods disruption
Right.
and
Yeah.
Nixon broke,
Yeah.
the valuation of gold is now it's way above S&P 500, Dow Jones, and many other industry standards. And I was just looking at an interesting comment is why all the analysts was analyzing cash flows, earnings per share, and try to find the best spending 14 hours per day, find the best investment. Those that bought a brick of rock, brick of metal, gold, made much more money than all of them. But in the end of the day, it shows that although you have cyclicals on the short, medium terms, the long term for gold seems to be always up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid of the cycles. I think we are in the industry of the gold. If someone is concerned, they should sell their shares, not us try to manipulate, or if gold should go up, we do this, down this. We don't think about gold price, right? I tell everybody it's so difficult to produce a gram of gold that if we knew about gold price, sell the assets and then open a hedge fund. Our job is to produce as much as we can with the lowest cost we can and let the market decide about the gold price.
Rodrigo, I follow the mining analyst and the mining stalwart, the analysts like Jeff Clark, Peter Croth, Chen Lin. At the same time, I also follow Eric Rule, Peter Schiff, and the Eric Sprott, who's a mining billionaire. And I'm sure you would have also spoken to them. These people promote exploration mining company. I would like to know why they don't have aura minerals in their recommendation or their portfolio. And is it because aura mineral is less risky for them? Your thoughts?
I think it's a combination. We are a new story, right? The aura, as we know today, has been built since 2017. Before that, it was not a successful story. It has some not a very good legacy, actually, in Canada. So we changed everything in the company and doing turnarounds. We were totally focused on the assets. So we were not talking to any investors until 2020. And then 2020, we listed in Brazil. So we focused more in Brazil. So it took a while for us to start talking more with the US and Canadian investors. So many of them are not even aware of us. Of course, those that are specialized in the sector, yes. But I think and we are different. And I think they were skeptical. Well, will this guy be able to build those mines? Rodrigo's not from the sector. They are doing things very differently, but those mines are going to really be profitable. They don't have any flagship assets. So we didn't fit much. But I think now, and another thing is we didn't have enough daily trading volume. So we were trading $1 million per day, $1.5 million per day. So even if they wanted to invest on us, they would have a limited ability to get in and out. So, and most of the feedbacks we were receiving since 22 is, Rodrigo, we like the story. we would like to invest on you, but with the $1 million, our fund cannot invest. Puts this, try to work on the daily trading volume and then come back. So we listed recently in NASDAQ with a new issuance of $220 million. And now our daily trading volume is hovering around $20 million per day. So now, for the first time, more sophisticated and large investors are looking to us and investing on us.
Congratulations, Rodrigo. I saw that execution. A good job done by your team. It's a great execution. Getting your company from Toronto Stock Exchange to listing NASDAQ in top tier is a commendable job. And I believe all the mining companies should do that for the sake of shareholder to enhance their liquidity, enhance their shareholder value. It's a great job done. And my question is on that piece with you, that have you come to Dubai? And if not, are you going to come to Dubai? Because Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, one of the biggest sovereign fund in the region, could be your investor. And the good news is they already have gold mining company in their portfolio. So what is your plan to attract these shareholders towards Aura Minerals?
No, I think it's the Middle East and Asian investors, they like gold, they like natural resource. Super sharp people, super highly educated, hard workers. I visited the Middle East many times, not necessarily to talk to investors for Aura, but in the past life and also for other subjects. I've been in Qatar, in Doha, I've been in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Kuwait, also in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. So I think it's it's still untouched from us. I think that's why we like this kind of conversation, so we can get our story more out in the Middle East, but we also felt that we had to improve our daily trading volume first.
Okay.
And now that we did, you will hear more about us going to conferences and talk to investors in Middle East. They do appreciate gold. They like, no, it's gold. Aura is not only about gold. It's gold with a high growth and high dividends. So that mostly investors in Middle East and even the US, they also like it.
Okay, then we will be seeing you here then.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a joke that Indian housewife asked the Indian husband that, have you bought gold for me in Diwali? And we tell our investor to tell your wife that I have not bought gold for you, I have bought gold mining for you. So my question to you is, in a very layman terms, is that how gold get mined from the mining from the start and reach a commoner, a common retail investor. So if you could get your thoughts on that in a very layman term, that how gold mines create gold bars or the gold, and it goes to the refinery, and from there it gets in the hand of a common investor.
Very, very simple. I don't want to extend too much on the technical side, which I'm also not technical, but there are few phases of any mining company, right? The number one is what they call exploration. It's drilling and doing studies to understand where you have the deposits.
Yes.
That time can take 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe consume 50, 60, 70, $100 million, so that you can, and if you find the gold in 8 years, you prove what we call as a reserves.
Yes.
Most of the times they spend all this money, it doesn't prove. So it's high risk, very high risk exploration, super high risk, but super high returns, right?
Okay.
That's not where we play, right? We don't feel we have the skills to find mines out of the blue. But then you have the second phase. Once you proved, you need to do all the engineering, do the financing, raise the capital, and build. That takes 2 or 3 years, depending on the mine.
Yes.
And then you have the operation, right? We like to build and we like to operate. We don't explore, right? And then go into the process. So Aura is not exploration. It's very different. When you're looking gold mines or mines, try to understand which phase they are, because they have different risks, of course, different expected returns.
Agreed.
But on the process itself, which is super curious, is we mine on average 1.2 grams per ton of mineral. And for every ton of mineral, there are 4 or 5 of not contained land.
Hmm.
So you actually need to move on average, each mine is different, but on average 5, 6 tons of land to have 1 gram per ton. So you've got to be very efficient doing that. And then once you get the ore, the 1 gram per ton, you put in a plant, sophisticated, high-tech plant that can cost 150, 200, $300 million.
Oh,
So they need to crush and go through a lot of a chemical and gravity process, sophisticated, run by all computers, so that you can. I've never seen gold in my life on the mines, but they are invisible. They are invisible. So those sophisticated to capture the invisible gold, and then put in the solution, and then we can do electrolysis, and then you can melt the bar, right? So when everyone reaches the bar, say, well, there was a lot of work, right, to get. That's why gold price is super high. And so once we produce the bar, it goes to what we call refineries.
yes.
And the refineries are in Switzerland, Germany. There's some refineries, I believe, also in Dubai,
Yes.
United States, and Canada. So the refineries are the ones that are going to elevate the purity to 99.9999%, put in a 1 kilogram standard, and they stamp that can be sellable in the exchange. So we don't see who is our end customer,
Absolutely.
because you sell stocks.
Yes.
So there's a bid and ask. I say that our commercial area is superior, and one telephone, because you just see ask, and then you sell in the market, and then whoever buys do not know what they're gonna do. It goes to jewelry, goes to ETFs, goes to bank reserves, and so on. Curiosity, now talking about gold, is, do you think you can measure all the produced gold in the world since the early civilization in Olympic swimming pools? If you put all the gold produced in the world, how many swimming pools do you think you can fit everything that the world produced in gold until today? How
Probably.
many?
I think 1 or 2 swimming pools.
Two and a half. That's it.
I
It's
got you
super
actually.
difficult. It's super
Yeah.
difficult.
Actually, Buffett said this. Buffett said that if all the gold in the world is mined, it will create a one field equivalent of a beautiful statue of a woman, which is, I totally understand that gold is very less in the world. So I think one thing
You
you
know that
learn.
Warren Buffett doesn't like much gold.
No, but people say Buffett doesn't like gold nowadays. What's your opinion?
But the fact that gold is appreciated way more than the stock exchange. Not with Warren Buffett, because he could pick the best performing company, right?
I actually get this argument from the people that I'm a Buffett fan. You can see him behind me. You can see them in here. Why do I have gold in my portfolio? Because Buffett doesn't like gold. I tell them that Buffett problem is the different problem. In fact, I would like to quote Buffett in 1980. He said that I would have made a lot of money when I was managing a small money, and he actually, the best performance came of 50% return when he was managing $1 million. Now, for Buffett to buy Aura Mineral, he needs minimum of $10 billion of float, which is not the case. So I tell them that Buffett cannot buy Aura Minerals. Now, I have a follow-up piece on, I think one point got missed in my previous question is how from the mine gold goes to the refinery. Tell us about that.
Well, once you pour the bar,
Yes,
it's so high value added.
yes.
So either
Security,
come a
safety.
helicopter,
Yes.
or comes a small airplanes, goes to international airports, and the international airport we export to. So it's the logistics for gold, it's very different from any other mining company. We don't have logistics, right?
Ah.
I said that gold can fly. So we fly the gold out of our mines.
And it's pretty safe, right, Rodrigo? It's very safe.
It is safe, because the gold, when we produce, it stays in a solution, in a tank. So you don't see
Okay.
the gold, it's a solution. and
Okay.
then you pour the gold once or twice per month. Nobody knows when,
Okay.
and then neither I, only one person. And when you pour the gold, immediately comes the airplane or the helicopter or the guys to take it and then fly. So we
Wow.
haven't seen much problems on terms of safety of our gold. Of course, occasionally you'll see here and there because it's a high value add, as you see banks being robbed and you'll see jewelries also being robbed. So of course it's a high value added product that some robbers like.
Today, Rodrigo, gold is going so up that people think that the banks are robbing them actually because their value of the currency is going down. And I think that's what they're thinking.
Which is not false,
Yes. Yes.
right? If you think about what the world is doing in issuing printing money,
Yes.
that's almost like stealing the value of the money.
Yeah, it's actually what is happening. Rodrigo, any two, three companies from the mining industry where you are drawing inspiration from and they're equally good or great? Your thoughts?
Um, I think there's one major company that we like, I always liked, and they are growing significantly. They're super major, right? But I do see, I follow them. Agnico Eagle. Their mindset in Agnico, they worth now over $100 billion, right?
Yeah,
But the
90.
mindset is, it's a lot about making the operations efficient with the local managers, invest in the local managers, so that corporate can spend more time in capital allocation, wisely capital allocation. And I mean, not being empire builder. What do you mean? As a empire builder, grow just the sake of growth without thinking about value. So you can double the size of our company, but that doesn't mean that the value per share is going to change.
Yes.
And if you see Agnico Eagle, they always think about value per share, because if you're acquiring or merging, you need to understand if you are increasing your share price, not just increasing the total value of the company, which is
Correct.
very, because if we increase the total value of the company at the same speed that you increase the number of shares, you're
Yeah.
not adding value. So you need
Yes.
to increase the size faster than your number of shares. So Agnico is super mindset on this situation.
In fact,
The
Rodrigo,
other one
yeah.
that we are learning now more and more is with the Longines family. They have
Yes.
two companies, Longines Gold and Longines Mining. Those are the owners of the asset of in Guatemala that we acquired, and since then we've been developing a relationship. Few brilliant brothers now on the third generation, doing the right thing, believing on people. When you talk with them, it's all about people. They have a stellar flagship assets,
Okay.
but that came from 20 years of having the right people, right?
In fact, Rodrigo, before investing in Aura Minerals, we were investor in the Agnico Eagle mining.
Good.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, actually, so we were invested in Agnico Eagle mining, but actually we were invested in a company called Kirkland Lake Gold, and then they got merged with Agnico Eagle mining, and we found some alignment issue, and that's why we exited, and then we found Aura Minerals, and since then we are your investor. Rodrigo, my question is on a piece of hiring. As a CEO, I think you, I, and each CEO, the one major component of their job objective is to hire the best people. And I'm sure hiring in mining industry is not easy because hiring is one thing and then retaining them is also a challenge. Now, how do you hire people? And I hear that you talk about that imagination is more than the intelligence or the knowledge. So, how do you hire? What should we learn from you on this piece? And how do you retain this talent? Your thoughts?
Well, I will say how we make our interview process and
Yes.
how I position myself on an interview.
Yes.
First, I am not from the sector. I don't have the technical skills.
Yes.
So I think the first thing is to understand if the people has the technical skills to that area, and then we will have our technical team to interview. But then this is the basic, right?
Yes.
So and then the senior manager start to interview, and who knows me and was interviewed by me for me knows that I few things I don't do. I don't read the resume first because
Okay.
I don't want to be I don't want to
Highest.
be polluted with the very nice things that is written on the resume, and I need to focus on the people, right?
Okay.
And then when I'm talking to them, I never question about, oh, tell me about your experience, because I don't care about the experience of what they've done in terms of career. But
Yes.
I do want to understand how they make their decision, because
Okay.
that's gonna tell me if this is the right fit or not.
Okay.
Right? I like to understand who they like to work with.
Yes.
Normally, when you ask who they like to work with, you will see what kind of values they like.
Okay.
If they
Wow.
like friendship, transparency, meritocracy, who they do not like to work with,
Okay.
right? And why? Because that will tell a lot about the values of that people. And
Yes.
then I try to understand situations that they've gone that was super difficult, what they did. And
Hmm.
normally that's going to tell you a lot about how they process information, how they make decisions,
Hmm.
right? So that's what I'm looking for in someone. And it's a combination of technical skills, but then needs to understand who is the person that
Hmm.
has that technical skills.
Hmm.
How these people will make decisions within Aura. Does he like hierarchical? Does he like to be a boss and to have a team? That's
Yes.
not going to work with us. Does he like just to work together with the whole team and make things happen without power signs and so on? That will help us.
So, Rodrigo, in this case, you might not be hiring very quickly and firing people. Your hiring process must be very long because it's not easy to get a good person and to get to know him. It takes time. What do you think?
Takes a lot of time, right? As we mentioned, corporate needs to focus on capital allocation and people development. So you need
Wow.
to people. You need to have a very long process of hiring. And if you don't find the right people, don't try to hire just to because you need it.
Wow.
Feel the pain, the short term not having them, but make sure when you hire because makes all the difference.
And when you hire them, what's the process? Like they go through some training process. Can you give us specifically if they go through some tools? How do you train them?
Yeah, it really depends on the level, right? The area, but we don't have that super structured process of training. You need to do this and this and that. No, it's just put them to work. It needs to have a very nice. If they come, they will probably the leader is going to be super strong. So learn by doing with the leader, and we believe also that HR area is super important to conduct all the process, but the training and the career depends on both the leader and the people itself. Don't try to rely on, I need this course, I need this and that, and the HR is going to help me to train. No, no. Go yourself after this, ask your boss, work with him, find your mentors, and then drive your career. That's what I've done my whole life, and that's, I believe it's people need to have the ownership of
Yes, that's what I
their
was coming to.
company.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Let me move to the business and industry question, specifically to the chairman, Mr. Paul Di Bretto. And I know he's a very private person and would like to keep his privacy intact. But I would love to know a three-piece question that when you came to Aura in 2016-17, were you the only choice? I know you got this appointment because of a kind work you did to a friend and he referred you to Aura. Were you the only choice? What kind of problem Mr. Paul Di Bretto has been facing in Aura Minerals? And how is your relationship with him today? That is what I would love to know and learn.
No, the main shareholders, they became main shareholders in mid 16. They were
Yes.
minority shareholders,
Yes.
so there was no problems that they were having. They bought more shares of the company, and once they reached over 50%, he had a clear vision that the sector needed changes. He was the founder of Yamana,
Okay.
which you might have heard.
Yes.
But he exited Yamana back in 2010 and 12. But he wanted to bring a new eyes to the sector because he could feel that the sector was not refreshing and full of dogmas, right? And some jokes I do with him is I do not know who was the craziest, he for hiring me or me to accept. Because I had no idea. I had no idea about mining. at all. But the fact it's working super well, right? And then you asked about the challenges of the company. It was full of challenges, right? So first, the company didn't have any kind of visibility about future cash flows.
Yes.
People could not answer me how much cash they made in the last month. Imagine talking about the next 12-month planning.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we struggled significantly with cash flows. Two, there was no all the incentive program and all that was not aligned with cash flows, right? And
Okay.
that's very common in the industry. The local managers, they have incentive plan towards production
Yes.
and not cash flows, right?
Yes.
And then in terms of balance sheet was poor, right? Not financing lines, and the morale of the managers was super low because they were not performing well, right? So we stayed 3 years, 4 years on working very important three pillars, and which is trivial. It's the obvious thing, but I like to talk about the obvious. Any company to grow needs to have reasonable assets and a pipeline of assets to develop.
Absolutely.
Needs to have a strong balance sheet
Yes.
and needs to have a strong team. You can grow if you don't have either any of these, right? That's the basic. If you look at track record, we reassess the assets, we rebuild the portfolio, we worked on the balance sheet, we did listing in Brazil, now listing in NASDAQ, create a relationship with the country operate. We worked on the team, we changed the management, changed the culture. So we did the obvious, but we did it very diligently.
Rodrigo, you talked like an entrepreneur and investor at the same time. And I'm sure there are many more good things to come. A fantastic execution, a lot of great things, and the speed is awesome. Having said that, and I'm sorry I'm going to ask you this question again, that at one point of time, Mr. Paul Di Bretto exited Yamuna Gold. Why won't he exit Aura Minerals in few years?
I cannot speak
Yes.
for him.
Mr. Paul would have had you in Yamuna Gold when he was about to exit. My question is towards buying a big company in, let's say, in the mining industry like Barrick Gold or Agnico Eagle Mine, and you can't make 5x there because it's very difficult to go to the 2x and 3x when you're already 50, 60 billion dollars. My question is towards when you will become a billion or say million ounce gold mining company, what will you do differently? I know you have a 5-year strategy in place. What do you see 10 years, 15 years for you in Aura Minerals? How will you do things differently?
Going back a little bit to Brito, and he said I cannot speak for him if he's gonna sell or not. Eventually, I think it will, right? Makes sense a little bit, cash. But he sees and he speaks. We see in Aura an opportunity to do a way bigger story than what we did in Yamana.
That
Right?
you
So
made it.
we're still in the beginning of the process. And I think we are just in the beginning. But yet, recently this week, Goldman Sachs issued a new report on us, and this report says that we can reach to 600,000 ounces of production or more with the development of the project that we already have in our portfolio. But as you mentioned, we do have an aspiration to get to 1 million ounces, and we believe that with this strategy, with the medium-sized assets, we can get to the 1 million ounces. And those assets have extremely high returns.
Yes.
But then it will get more difficult. Then we'll have to start recycling. So I think we can continue to grow because we have a very differentiated strategy. We can get more value from the assets that some of the other mining companies. That means that worth more for us than to them. So that means that there will be M&A opportunities. But I don't think we will be able to replicate these super high returns that we've been having. I think these super high returns on this project we have is the benefit we have of being small.
Yes.
Once you grow, we will have decent returns, but there will be a different play. So I would invite investors to understand this. As you said, it's a different thing of investing in the majors or investing in the medium-sized high growth. Different returns, completely different risks, but sometimes the risk and return adjusted might make more sense for medium-sized companies.
Thank you for being honest, Rodrigo. I can see that as you become bigger, the returns will be lesser because of the sheer size. I would like to delve more into the leadership and how the management runs the business. Mr. D. Bretto is a non-executive chairman. So do you talk to him daily, or it is you who is alone in the leadership and you have a free hand and you run the entire show? And that's what I'd like to know from you.
No, I don't run the show alone. I think there's a combination.
Okay.
We have a very good board as a whole.
Yes.
Each one will specialize in different. One specializes in financing, one specializes in strategy, while the other one is more technical. I talk to Paulo a lot, almost every week. His son, Brito Filho, is also on the board.
Okay.
Brilliant, brilliant gentleman
Wow.
that I talk 3 or 4 times per week. All the decisions we make together, but also the decisions I make also with the senior managers of Aura. So we have a very strong COO, a very strong CFO, and the mine managers. Capital allocation, for example, acquisitions. We don't have an M&A area. We are the M&A area. And the technical team is super involved. I will not make any recommendation without the COO. This is a good asset. I think we can run efficiently. I don't make any decision without the CFO saying this is good on the finance, on the balance sheet, we can handle, right? And also with the human resources saying, well, we will be able to implement our Aura 360 culture on that mine. So it needs to be a combination of these. And in the end, I'm becoming less and less important in the company, which is my job is to become irrelevant because they are already running the show. I'm not running the show anymore, which is good. It just means that we are on the right track.
It's so kind of you, Rodrigo, that you've been passing on the credit to the team. Very happy to hear that. And I'm sure everyone is responsible in the business and everybody is doing their work properly. As we go forward, you've been discussing about more M&A because that is how we're going to have the size increased. Why don't you hire a separate M&A team to run the M&A as a separate business? Why not? So are you looking
M&A
to
is
hire
super
more people?
important,
Yeah.
but I don't believe it's good to have an M&A team. Why do I say so? Because if you have an M&A team, they will be motivated to do what? M&As. They are
Yes.
working for that.
Yes.
And then there's some conflict of interest. So I need to do this deal. Not necessarily there will be a super good deal.
Yes.
And then also you take out accountability of the performance after you do the acquisition. So the M&A team, we're gonna say, oh, this is a super nice asset, we can run efficient and so on. Suppose you buy, and then you put your technical team to manage that asset, and things goes wrong. What do you think is gonna happen? It's a human behavior. The technical team is gonna say, no, the guys M&A didn't do a good job. And the guys of the M&A is gonna say, no, it's the technical team they're not doing. So you don't have accountability of generating value from
Makes
that.
sense.
That's why it needs to be sourced internally. It needs to be the technical team with our finance team to do that. It's kind of crazy because people, the mindset needs to be everywhere. Sometimes I put a lot of noise in the daily work, but the fact is, I think it pays off. And you also teach the mindset of the technical team how to create value. What is generating value in any kind of assets?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Rodrigo, I watched the previous video and there is some confusion about what are we going to achieve in the next year. Some of the previous videos talk about achieving 460,000 ounce in 2026 and some of them talk about achieving 460,000 ounce in 2027. Can you please tell us what exactly is going to happen? Can you help us to clear the cloud so we can have an estimate of what kind of ounce we are going to produce and when?
No, I cannot provide guidance for 26 at all.
Okay.
Because we haven't done this yet.
Okay.
But what I can share is this year our production should be between 266, 300,000 ounces. We are very much in line with the guidance.
Absolutely.
But during this year, we just declare commercial production of Borborema.
Yes.
So of course there is growth next year. I invite you and the analysts, just do the math, and then you'll see that we will grow from 300,000 ounces of production because of Borborema being full production.
Right.
And there's another thing that it's also fully available and disclosed is we acquired one asset from AngloGold,
Yes.
MSG, that's pending to close. This is a brownfield, it's operation that's ongoing. That last year produced 80,000 ounces. This year is going to produce less because they're becoming less efficient. But that production is going to kick in already day one after we close, which is during this quarter. So then you put this Borborema full plus the new asset, then you can reach numbers that you see the numbers that you can reach.
Okay, so I got that this surprise on the upside. My next question is on ESG. That's becoming very bigger because future shareholder are going to be Gen Z and Gen Y, and they would love to know how companies getting carbon neutral. Like Amazon has this given this guidance that by 2030 they will become carbon neutral. I would like to know what is the Aura Mineral doing and what's the trend in the mining industry. Like, are we using the solar power to run our mining or the mines? Are we also looking at having the battery operated crane in our mines? And I would love to know that what kind of ESG standard we are having in Aura Minerals so that we attract this new shareholders or the future shareholders.
Yeah, you have to divide in many different aspects this, right? Because ESG is very broad.
Yes.
ESG about social responsibility, doing the right thing for the communities, generating value for them, not on the short term, but creating conditions to long-term value. That's why we are thinking about this and doing these wineries, is because gold mine one day is going to shut down, and you need to think how those people is going to survive after you shut it down. So you need to create opportunities for them to have a value creation after you are shut down. And you have to think about all the impact in the environment locally, either water consumption, either the less amount of trees you need to cut or planting more trees, reforesting, and so on. And also this issue of carbon reduction. And then I will share very transparently conversations that we had in the last 3 or 4 years is that we understand the issue and to have a target and to reduce carbon emission. But we also understand all the responsibility we have in the social and other environmental issues, right? And in the end of the day, the capital you have is limited, right?
Yes.
Of course, now we're generating more, but take 3 or 4 years ago. So you'll not have unlimited capital to do everything. We have to make, we manage, as a manager, we have to make decisions. We have to prioritize, right?
Yes.
And then when you look the prioritization process, you identify gold miners are not the one that most pollute in terms of CO2, right? Because it's a smaller scale, much smaller than the major mines. So gold mines within all the industries are lower carbon emissions. And among the industry, Aura is one of the lowest because of the efficiency we have operating those mines. So when we saw, well, let's do more, let's try to reduce more. And then we could feel that we would have to allocate $30, $40 million more. And then on the committee, we said, well, listen, how can we allocate this $30 million to reduce even more CO2, which is positive, right?
Okay.
Why some community doesn't have fresh water? While some community needs more schools for the children.
Which you do.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Right? So we are much now more focused towards social development in the areas that we are. Sometimes you are in an area that doesn't have a lot of assistance from central government. In Honduras, there's no hospital around. So we open for free or internal hospital for all population. Those kind of things we like to prioritize. Water. We just ramped up Borborema, and Borborema, it's in an area that has dry seasons, and every 6 or 8 years has a very dry. So the community feels lack of water. At the same time, the communities there is no infrastructure to treat the gray water, and the gray water goes polluting the river. Legally, the state needs to provide us fresh water for mine. But how can you operate well in an area that perhaps the population won't have enough water, and you dispute the water with them? For us, doesn't make sense. Then it makes sense to invest more, even if it's not necessarily legally, but it's necessary by heart or by strategic. Let's invest in the water treatment plant together with the state. So look what we are doing there now. 100% of the water we use in our mine comes from gray water from the city that is treated and we use in our plant. So then we are not only fighting for water and disputing water with them, but we are also helping the environment and not letting this water to be put on the river without any kind of treatment. So all those decisions go through our prioritization, and then today we monitor CO2. We would like to reduce. We are gradually reducing. We have other priorities to develop before being in this one.
Makes sense. Let me ask you the specific business question towards the ESG. I think the AISC, the all-in sustaining cost for Aura Mineral is roughly between $1350 to $1450 per ounce, whereas Agnico Eagle mine has roughly between 1000 and 1100 per ounce. Now, what is the biggest component of all-in sustaining cost, and what's the plan? How are we going to reduce that? Your thoughts?
Well, when you're analyzing gold mines, all-in sustaining cash costs can be different, completely different from one mine to another.
Okay.
And the difference can come from natural conditions and also management conditions.
Okay.
So imagine you have one mine that has 1 gram per ton, and other mine that you have 3 grams per ton. So your cost is associated with the ton, not with the gram, right? So if you produce 3 times more per each ton you are developing, you will have a low all-in sustaining cash cost, right? So I think that's the main driver of one all-in sustaining cash cost is the conditions of the mine. But then you have the management, right? So upon the conditions of that mine, how can you have the lowest possible costs, right? So how can you keep, if you see Aura, the inflation hasn't kicked us much. It's because the local managers are fighting furiously against inflation, changing specifications of products, changing suppliers, changing service providers, rebidding. It gives a lot of work, put us some additional risk, but a manageable risk. And then you have to fight. Within our mind, and once you have the conditions, you have a labor cost, energy cost, and equipment maintenance or maintenance of amortization. That will be most of the costs that you have. And the energy is either fossil fuels, diesel but also electricity for the plant.
Yeah.
And that you need to have a lean structure, efficient day-to-day operations. I think that mostly it's. I think on management you can navigate 20% up or 20% down. What the conditions of the mine gives to you. Right? So the mine of MSG we acquired from Anglo. Last year they had a $2,000 all-in sustaining cash cost. This year is going to be higher because it's losing productivity. We understand we can increase production and decrease all-in sustaining cash cost. But I don't think we'll reach the level what we are now because the conditions of the mine will allow us to reduce 10, 20, 25%, but not to put down to 1,200 or 1,300.
Fine, I get that. Rodrigo, any plans to diversify into the other precious metal industry? Like uranium is also a critical material today, and it has been listed in the US as the rare material, the critical material. Any plan to acquire these mines and diversify the portfolio? Your thoughts?
We are gold and copper player,
Okay.
and we should continue to be gold and copper player. I don't see us diversifying. The investors that invest on us wants to have exposure to those two, and if they like other, they would rather invest themselves in other sectors rather than us diversifying for them.
Got that. Rodrigo, you talked about AI being used in the mining industry. What do you think are the 5 trends which are going to help a gold mining or a precious metal mining company to do great? Your thoughts?
Super good question. I think no one has an idea because the opportunities are so huge everywhere, right? It's unlimited of what AI can be applied. It's been yet very difficult to insert on the core
Yes.
because of focus, and it's a process. But we have some guesses, right? And that's a guess. We like failing fast, right? Try, fail, and then move on. So that's
Yes.
what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think AI will give a very new dynamic on exploration, because exploration, either finding new mines or proving new resource and reserves on the mines that we already have,
Okay.
it's all about data analysis and comparing to similar structures that happens in the world. The nature are not a constant, it varies, but they replicate in many different places, right? So those kind of comparison data analysis, it's what AI likes to digest, right? So I think the AI will play a good role on this. Also, you have all the theoretical models about the mine, because you drill and then you build the 3D model and so on. But you really will know the ore body when you are there.
Yes.
So when you are there, you need to reprocess all the information and rebuild the theoretical model.
Yes.
This process is one software for the theoretical model, another software for the real operations. They don't communicate very well with each other, and there's always exploration. So connecting all these dots with AI, which we are trying, but you need to build a lot of data, standardized data,
Yes.
can give you a way faster process of decision-making process within the mine. And then you have all the other areas that you can, AI is going to change the world, and everybody needs, I say internally, perhaps AI is not going to replace you, but whoever knows AI is going to replace if you don't know AI. So,
I totally agree with you, Rodrigo. I think the AI will make the dumb more dumber and the smart people more smart. And training of generative AI is very, very important if we have to move forward. Thank you, Rodrigo, for answering so many questions. Last question I have you on the what are you going to wish to an Indian housewife on the occasion of Diwali? Diwali means gold and glitter, and aura also means gold. It's a Latin word for gold. What's your wish going to be, and what's your wishes to our investors?
yes, I think Aura is in a very strong track record to continue to grow, to continue to deliver dividends. But we are very optimistic about gold price, but independently of gold price remaining going up or going down, Aura will continue to grow, which offsets some risk of the downsides of the gold price. We have very interesting projects to develop, right? The one in Guatemala, another one in Matupá. We have all the turnaround to do at MSG. So there's a lot of interesting things happening, or that independently from the gold price, we will continue to grow and generate value to our shareholders. I would invite all the shareholders, and I think you are very fortunate to have this kind of interactions, because that's absolutely what any investor should do. Is, I was going back to the people, much more important than the strategy the company has, much more important what you see on the balance sheet, is understand who are making the decisions on that company. Because in the end of the day, the way we feel, shareholders are giving us money, and we need to manage this. This money doesn't belong to us, it belongs to our shareholders.
Yeah, the
So
custodian, correct.
how you manage this capital it's based on people. So who is managing this capital? If you don't have a good manager, I don't invest my money, right? I prefer to invest in a average company with extraordinary people making decisions than in an extraordinary business that has an average people, right? So look more for the people, and then you can look the company.
Thank you so much, Rodrigo. I think let's do what is in our control, and let's do the hard work, and let's leave everything else to the luck or the God, whatever the people believe in. I think the future is going to be bright for all of us. We are all in this together. All the best,
Thank you.
and thank you for doing this. And we learn a lot about the business and the company today. Thank you so much.